What's up everyone, I'm Duncan Knee Deep from Team We Disney, just here to remind you that you can still pick up an MBL t-shirt in the link in the description down below to support the teams and the analysts of the MBL. It's a fantastic shirt and you should definitely check it out.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Power Rankings Week 5 for the MBL. This is Witz here, and as always, I'm with my co-host Tailwind.
Hey, I'm back, guys.
Yeah, so why don't we just jump right in? So why don't you go ahead and start off with subs?
Subs, unfortunately, have been knocked down to the 12th spot. They've lost week after week after week, having only a win against Blue Hornets. So, unfortunately, they cannot stay up in their comfortable 9 and 10. They have to be knocked down to 12 now, as Mythical and Blue Hornets, they've all shown that they can actually battle well, and subs are just playing a bit too passive. You know, they are making good plays, but a lot of the plays, they are conflicting themselves, and it does hurt them in the long run. And once again, Typhlosion could have saved you this week.
Yeah, with Mythical beating them this week, they jumped Mythical up a little bit, which left the 12th spot open for subs to unfortunately go down to that spot. Hopefully they can do a little bit better in the future, and then we can bump them further up. So we'll see how you guys respond to this. With that, why don't we go over to your 11 in Blue Hornets. I have them up at 9, but why don't you talk about why we have Blue Hornets down at 11?
Blue Hornets I have at 11 because they have been playing well each week. They have been consistent. However, they do also lack the wins like the other teams. And against Dream Ball, yes, the Dream Ball are good. They played quite poorly. You know, they played well against Cyberbaz, really well. And I wanted to bump them up. But I think after the first couple of weeks and stuff, they need to get a little bit more momentum to move up. They are on hot goals. They will jump straight up. However, they need to get that win. If they keep playing as well as they're playing, they'll move up and everything will be all good for them.
Yeah, I agree. I kept them up at 9, mainly for that reason. They played incredibly well against Cyberbaz. They had that win over Juice, and they used that momentum to keep going through Cyberbaz. They forced them to a tight 3-0, so I feel like that they deserve to stay up at that 9 spot with how everybody else did this week as well.
For me, they're at the lower point. They're on hot coals. They play well, they'll jump up. They play bad, you know, they'll just melt away down to like 12 or something.
With that, we'll move over to Mythical. I have them at 11, and Taylor, you have them at 10. Mythical, they played really well against subs this week. They used the fact that they didn't bring Cresselia and Magnezone as bluffs to team subs, who were very over-prepped for them, I feel like, and they used that to their advantage. The double Z move really helped them this week. The Trick or Treat and the Never-Ending Nightmare play, that was great, and then immediately followed up with the Acid Downpour. Their prep was on point this week. However, their previous losses are reasons why they can't go higher than 11. So if they keep this momentum up, they'll continue to slowly creep up in the standings.
Yes, I agree with you there. I have them at 10 because they played fantastically against We Disney, and they are obviously number 1 in the power rankings for a multitude of weeks. They, I think, have been playing a lot better from their upset against Team Cyberbaz in week 1. So this is why I've moved them up above Blue Hornets, because I feel like they keep their momentum, they keep playing as they're playing, they're going to get more and more wins. Next up we have Team Juice. You have them at number 10, I have them at number 9. I have them at number 9 because they have been playing fantastically against the higher teams, but unfortunately they have been playing worse against the lower teams in the power rankings. It's for this reason that I still have them in their 9th spot, because their resistance is still quite high. I mean, they played great against Dream Ball. They played, unfortunately, not too well against Blue Hornets. However, this week, the way they played allowed them to keep their 9th spot. I don't think Mythical and Blue Hornets have been able... I know Blue Hornets did beat them, but I don't think all of their other weeks of play have been good enough to take Team Juice's slot. They are on thin ice, as same with Blue Hornets, they're on hot coal. These guys are on thin ice and they can drop through it quite easily, but if they tread carefully and keep getting their wins, they'll obviously rise up just like other teams.
Well, I agree with you on majority of those, but the fact that they lost to Blue Hornets is the reason why I actually have them below Blue Hornets. Blue Hornets has played really well in their past couple weeks, and they used the break as well, going into the break and coming out of the break. They used that momentum coming through to show that they belong. And Juice, like you said, they've been playing really well against the top teams, against the teams that haven't been beating. So because of that, I have them at 10.
Well, let's jump straight into number 8, where we have another agreement. Now, Leaky have been playing great. They played really well this week. Team Jamie have obviously been playing a lot better through these weeks. Leaky put the pressure on. They did get an unfortunate lead, but they did unfortunately also get flinched out twice in a row while trying to set up Trick Room, which could have been a game changer for Leaky.
Yeah, agreed. Especially with the way that they were playing with the extra drill. That Trick Room being set up would have been key in bringing the game back.
Unfortunately, hacks happens to the best of us. It cannot be avoided. It's the game we play, which is why I haven't docked them and I haven't raised them. I've kept them at their spot. I don't think they deserve to be knocked or bumped up because of the way the game played out. Jamie are playing fantastic. They dealt with the Porygon Z better than any team has done so far, which has led me to believe that they are playing well. They just got hacked out this week, so I have to keep them at number 8.
All right, and with that, let's move on to number 7. We both agreed on flawless for this one. However, I want to start off with a little bit of a disclaimer. This is where we had last week the whole flawless agreement where we kept them at the spots. So you might see some random dips and rises from teams that might not have had those in the previous week. For instance, you'll see for my Not Scored, I have them at 6, and you'll see the -2. I wouldn't have had them at 6 last week. We act as if like they never changed.
Yeah. All right. So why did you have flawless number 7 for this week? Because I also have it, and I'm interested to see why you put them to 7.
I had them at 7 because they played decently well this week against Drinking Birds. They had a great late game with the Tentacruel setting up the Rain Dance. They were able to salvage a 1-0 as opposed to having it being a 3 or 4-0. However, I had them at 7 because of how the other teams played this week. They'd be higher if the other teams faltered a little bit. So it's not a dock on them. It's more as everybody else played better than they did.
Yeah. So let's move on. We've got Cyberbaz and Not Scored in 5 and 6. You have Not Scored in 6 and Cyberbaz in 5, where I have Cyberbaz in 6 and Not Scored in 5. Why don't you lead with Cyberbaz, and I'll explain my Not Scored after.
Yeah, I had Cyberbaz at 5 and you had them at 6. I really liked how they played this week against Blue Hornets. They played around the Oranguru really well. They had a combination of Breloom with the Spore and Azumarill with the Power, and I really like how they played and how they prepped and everything that they've done this week. They had a couple slip-ups in the past, and they've taken that to heart, and they've noticed other things this week. So they noticed that it wasn't safety goggles. They were worried about a potential Lum or Chesto, but that's to be expected, but they realized that it wasn't safety goggles because it was taking Sandstorm, which is something they didn't pick up in the previous week with the Electabuzz not taking hail damage. So they're learning from their mistakes, and because of that, I was able to move them up to 5.
For me, I have them at 6, mainly because we cannot keep, well, I personally cannot keep ignoring Not Scored. I know they won, which leads, like, Cyberbaz have been playing fantastically. They are well worthy of that 5 slot. However, Not Scored, even with the hacks, they are still only 1 loss down and undefeated elsewhere. Just like we Disney and Dream Ball. You know, they are the big shots at the moment. It has been very unfortunate for other teams through hacks, like the Double Protect this week, which is leading into my number 5 and your number 6 with Not Scored. But this factor can't be ignored, so I've moved them above Team Cyberbaz because they did beat number 1, Team We Disney. They did beat Dream Ball, which is number 2. So even though has had hacks on their side, they've still beaten those teams. They also beat Cyberbaz as well. So I couldn't ignore that, so I've put them up. What about you? Why are they at number 6?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. And like I said before, you'll see the -2 there, but it would have the squiggle as being they didn't change. But this week, they got completely outplayed. The whole momentum turned, and the Double Protect happened, and people might be saying, oh, they should have just switched out the Bulu, but the Garchomp wouldn't have been there to Poison Jab if the Double Protect didn't happen, so you can see where the tilt happened. But yeah, they got completely outplayed this week. And because of that, and the way Cyberbaz was playing, I had to put Cyberbaz over Not Skull.
Oh yeah, I fully understand. However, obviously for my reasons, they did win. I can't keep jocking them, which is why we'll get to the We Disney and how they are at the moment. But let's move on to number 4, where we have another agreement, which is good because we're back to agreeing. We have Team Jamie.
We agree from here on out. So
oh, that's perfect. Well, we have Team Jamie here. Now, I haven't moved them, and they've gone up 3 slots for you.
Well, Team Jamie has shown, again, how scary their team is. And they're doing it in a multitude of ways. They did it in sweeps. They've done it on this case, and they did it in flinching. But it also shows that a part of the game. Like, you gotta live with it. You gotta deal with it. But their riding momentum can't just be because of hacks. They're playing incredibly well. They slipped up a little bit in the beginning, but every week since, they've just gotten better and better and better. And they're taking that in stride. And I can't wait to see what else they'll do.
Yeah. And as you said about the hacks, they beat Team Not Scored, and Team Not Scored are the hack guys. These guys have been able to defeat that hacks, shows that they don't need hacks themselves. Granted, they got it this week with the flinches on the Necrozma, stopping the Trick Room, but I feel even with the Trick Room up, I feel like they could have possibly still kept the win. I don't know, because obviously it would play out a whole different game. This is why I cannot move them down, cannot move them up. They are perfectly happy in number 4. It's not a bad position, so I'm very impressed with them, and I'm looking forward to seeing them rise even more. See if they top cut again. Let's move on to the top 3 for week 5.
Like I said before, we agree on 1, 2, and 3. So with Drinking Birds, they played incredibly well against Flawless. They didn't take no for an answer with a bunch of their stuff. They had the Z move on with the Sub-Zero Slammer. They were able to bring Elsa to the forefront. And with that, their end game was a little bit poor, and that's why they're not higher up. Well, that and the fact that the two people above them are We Disney and Dreamball, who are playing out of their minds.
Yeah, for me, they are playing fantastic. They're doing really well. They obviously had a poor end game. They could have possibly used that Z move with the Landorus a little bit sooner to deal with the Tentacruel. I don't quite know if there was like a worry about doing it or if it was out of speed. I don't know what was the problem there.
Because the Tentacruel's base 100 speed.
Oh, yeah.
They were afraid that the Tentacruel was going to outspeed the Lando.
Oh, okay. Overall, they had a poor late game, but their start game, their middle game was fantastic, but flawless and no pushover, and they were able to show that they could put Drinking Buzz on the edge, but unfortunately they didn't win. Drinking Buzz did win, which is why they get their number 3 slot.
All right, so let's move up to Dreamball. What do you got to say about them this week?
Well, it's Dreamball. What more can I say? You know, of course, the 5-0 win streak has lost, but they still have a win streak, but the win streak of 5-0s is over, but they are playing on the ball week after week after week. And some of you may be wondering why they haven't overtaken We Disney, and we'll get to that when we get to We Disney. Dreamball, they're on top of their game, their prep is fantastic, they're using the soak combination that We Disney used before with their Tapu Fini. They are adapting to the way that each team plays, they're adapting to how they like their team, they're making their team work, and they are just putting the work in this season.
I can't say more. He took the words right out of my mouth, and I think with that we just need to move on to We Disney. I can't say anything more. They're playing ridiculously well.
Yeah, I would like to lead with We Disney here because
go right ahead.
They should, in some people's eyes, be in number 2 because they lost this week. However, they've been undefeated this entire time. Dreamball were not. They lost to a double protect, they'd still be undefeated by now and probably a 4-0 or 3-0 victory. This shows me that they still have the power to stay in number 1, and I'm not going to move them down until they get either a hefty loss or they lose again and Dreamball get another 5-0. At the moment, they're safe, but they're also got Dreamball's Zygarde on their tail. They've got to keep it up, get back their momentum, put this match behind them because they played fantastic. They outplayed Not Scored the entire match. They knew what they had to do, they knew how to win, but unfortunately so did Not Scored, and they knew that the double protect was their win con. The game gave it to them, nothing that they could have done. You know, things happen, it's the chance, it's not like it's an impossible thing to happen, it's programmed into the game, it can happen. It's unfortunate when it does, but it did. And that's why I kept We Disney at number 1, just because they lost to hacks, not to being outplayed.
I completely agree, 100%. And to use your terminology from before, I think We Disney's on thin ice. They're playing really well, and they're outplaying, they're outskilling, they're outprepping. But another loss, even if it's to hacks, it's going to drop them down because of the way Dreamball's playing.
Yeah.
So I can't even say that they need to regain their form. I just feel like they just need to recompose as opposed to regaining form because they're already at the top of their game. I think they just need to recompose, settle down, and bounce back after.
Yeah, I agree.
And with that wraps up Power Rankings for Week 5. This is Wits.
And I'm Tailwind.
Feel free to leave a like, comment down below, subscribe to the channel to see all of our MBL videos, and we'll see you guys next week.
Hey, bye.